Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about all kinds of stuff. We've got a lot of requests on the show today, Eric. We've got some older stuff, some newer stuff. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the thing that I imagine most people are here for, which is a recently released DC direct-to-video movie. And it has been our tradition for years and years now to review these together. Much of the time, much to our chagrin.
And we have one next omnibus.
That's true. We're going to have right, but that's not from this line, but it is another DC of those. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm excited about that.
Me too.
But I don't mind giving away right away. I said usually much to our chagrin. Maybe not this time.
No.
So much. Today, we're going to talk about Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. This came out a couple weeks ago now. We're a little bit late on this. And this is a rated R Suicide Squad movie. And this time, I get why it has a rated R, it has that rating. And Eric, I'm going to start my comments with, this is one of the best of these in, maybe one of the best of these in period. But, and not even my cup of tea, but I just think it's handled really well. This is one of the best of these in making me buy the rating and not feeling like it's a thing that is mostly for kids, but they're just shoving in the vulgarity and the swearing and the violence and stuff. I think this is what the live-action Suicide Squad movie should have been.
Absolutely.
Minus just a big thing at the end that ties it to the other movies in this line that you just wouldn't have had in that movie.
It was so cool.
I feel like the script minus that, the way that it ties into this, because this is also the first time I've cared about this as a world, as a continuity.
Yeah, this has to be a continuity for this film to exist.
And it's great.
Yep.
But besides that, I mean, the script wholesale. The premise, and you said it came from Secret Six. The premise with the get out of hell free card. Even this team, I feel like everything about
Scandal, Savage, and Knockout are in this, who are both from Secret Six.
I mean, it might have been hard to visualize the Snake guy in live action. Maybe I wouldn't have done that, but I'm telling you, I think like 80% of this is just is like a really good screen pitch.
Yeah. Depressing postscript. Gail Simone had to buy a copy of this.
That's not right.
No. But other than that,
but like, let Alan Burnett write one.
Well, we've said for years, right? Like, Alan Burnett and Paul Dini should get a crack at a Batman movie.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and Superman.
Sorry if I stole your thunder right away, but we haven't thought about this in a couple weeks. So yeah. I'm looking at it again and going, I really liked this.
Yeah, me too. I considered trying to watch it again before we did the show. I just didn't get a chance.
Yeah, me neither.
But no, I thought this was delightful. I said, like, I think halfway through, I was like, I didn't expect this was going to be one of my favorites of these.
And we're not even just talking in the 52 inspired ones.
The DC animated direct-to-video.
Going all the way back.
I loved this.
It just feels like the consummate Suicide Squad movie. I mean, like, for this premise, for what this is, again, not exactly my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't usually like things that are this raunchy and this vulgar.
It's very much my thing.
It's what it should be.
Yeah. Well, and
it's authentic.
What's disappointing is I'm not hearing anyone talk about it.
Yeah.
No one's talking like people come.
That's because of the reputation, right?
People come into my work all the time talking about oh, did you see Batman Harley Quinn? Did you see Bad Guy? My guys like, no one's mentioned this. It's the best one we've had since Flashpoint, right? The Flashpoint was the last really good one.
Justice League versus Teen Titans we liked a lot.
Justice League versus Teen Titans.
I want to say
and Assault on Arkham
Gods and Monsters post dates Flashpoint. No, it does.
It does.
That's a great one too.
Yeah.
But as far as the ones in this universe, this is better than Assault. That movie was fun. We enjoyed watching it. This is a good story.
Yep. With like actual like character development and like it's really funny, but it's also genuinely like really dramatic.
It reads like a graphic novel in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Christian Slater. So I was excited because Christian Slater's Deadshot.
Yeah.
He kills it as Deadshot. He's like the perfect voice, and I never really would have thought that. I just thought it was funny that Christian Slater was going to be Deadshot. It was the only thing I was excited about.
He looks like Tony Stark, but...
Yeah. It was really nice to not know anything.
Yeah.
Going into this, we were able to be surprised.
The opening credits we were blown away by because it was like, oh look, we're a Grindhouse thing, and it's sort of that, but I think it doesn't go full tilt.
It
that
wants to be a period piece.
Because we said that all the way through. It wishes it was in the early '80s. It's got that soundtrack.
It's got that look.
But I don't think it's like it's wanting to be Grindhouse too much, but not allowed to go there, and so like it has credits that in music that don't fit with it. I think it all is tonally really well blended.
Yeah.
It's more like it goes over the top in the violence, but it's more straightforward and less crazy and out there than a Grindhouse thing would probably be.
It's kind of Tarantino-y.
Yes.
In that it is not necessarily those things, but certainly inspired by those things.
It's lucid.
Yeah. And because it's animated, like there's no budgetary constraints or anything like that.
Sure. Yeah. But I just want to hand this to everybody that wanted to love Suicide Squad and didn't.
Yeah, I really
do. And I know I keep going to that, but it's the script is that good. Things it handles really deftly. The first big thing is it knows how to introduce all of our characters without making that take all day long, and they're all immediately pretty. If they're not interesting already, I get why they're there later, and they'll come out and surprise me with something.
There was one specifically where you were like, yeah, this person's just there for their powers, and then they get like a character arc at the end of the film. It was
Killer Frost.
Killer Frost. Yeah, Killer Frost gets like, it just kind of seems like she's there, but then like she's really important for the ending.
And Copperhead is a really great comic relief character. I think he's so funny.
You have a new favorite character? You collect all the Copperhead appearances.
I loved him in this.
You were so worried when you thought he was dead.
I was. It hurt my feelings. He's great, and he's like he's really non-committal. He doesn't say very much. Whenever he says something, it's always funny. I loved him. The Winnebago thing is great. It's so funny.
Well, Copperhead's immediately hilarious because there's a point where someone looks at him and instead of hissing like a snake, which he does do, he just goes hiss.
Yeah, he just says hiss.
Because he knows that's what he's supposed to do there.
It's really fun. They turn a lot of things on their head like that, but like everybody feels pretty three-dimensional and well drawn to me.
Harley is there as comic relief, not just she's probably here because of the popularity of her.
Handled very
she's
deftly.
Not shoved in. She doesn't feel shoved in. She doesn't feel pushed to the front when she doesn't belong there.
When she's supposed to be funny, she is.
She's there's not a single like groaner line from her. I don't think.
And she doesn't take over. Which I guess you kind of said, but I think that's important.
She's just part of the team.
She doesn't take over. It's not her movie. And it's and Batman doesn't show up. It doesn't feel the need.
That was the thing you said in the first like 20 minutes. You're like, I'll be so impressed if Batman doesn't show up.
And he doesn't. And there is an important thing that is Batman related. But we don't want to give it away. I really want people to watch this. I think we should not spoil things from this.
I agree. The MacGuffin is a get out of hell free card. We said that. It's if you have this card on your body when you die, if you would go to hell, you go to heaven instead.
It's another thing we keep talking. We keep seeing him show up a lot. It's another Dr. Fate thing. Dr. Fate is in this.
He's really funny.
And he's really funny.
He's really funny.
And the guy who ends up being Dr. Fate is voiced by Matt Parkman from Heroes. And he turns in a really great performance. It's a road trip movie.
Yeah,
which is part of which is part of the whole '80s thing.
Yeah, it's just it's so much fun. It's everything a Suicide Squad movie should be. Yeah, absolutely.
We usually go more in depth with these, but we're just doing how we felt about it.
It was such a surprise.
I don't think, or we're just doing the a non-spoiler thing because I don't think people are watching this and they should.
Yeah, other people should also be surprised.
Yeah,
it was such a delightful.
I think that's all we should say.
Yeah,
unless there's anything else you want to add.
No. They get Deadshot, which is important. Like he's pretty good in Assault on Arkham, but they get him pretty. And I love Amanda Waller in this.
Oh yeah, no, I did too. Sure.
But yeah, no, that's kind of all I got.
It's really good, and not just solid. I mean, it's quite great. Okay, other things.
It is the best of the New 52 line.
Why don't you? Yeah. I mean, like
I'd like it better than Justice League vs. Teen Titans.
Yeah. Me too. Well, because there's not much I can point to that's wrong with this, and the big thing with that is just I don't care about the Justice League. Like, it's nice that this is able. That's what threw me for such a loop, is that it stands on its own great. I'm like, why does this even have to be part of this continuity? And then it made me care about the continuity in some way.
Yep.
Really cool. And I'll just say that I don't even want to mention who the villains are in this. I mean, it's Suicide Squad, so they're also kind of villains. But
and a lot of fun, deep pull characters you don't see all the time.
Yeah, people I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah,
there was some of that. But but like the main villain in this is not who you would expect. His hero's not in it, and there's a question about his powers, and the explanation for why it's happening the way it's happening is kind of genius.
Yeah, because we just kept waiting like this has to be explained, right? Like they're talking about it, so it has to be a thing.
I thought we were building a mystery. I wasn't sure, and then when it pays off, I was just like,
oh, it's crazy good.
It's great. Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Why don't you talk about Curse of Frankenstein?
All right, I will talk about Curse of Frankenstein. So I got Curse of Frankenstein in the lot of all those Hammer movies I bought a couple of weeks ago, and for no real reason, I decided to watch this. I'd never seen any of the Hammer Frankensteins before. I've seen all the Draculas, but I think 2. And those are the 2 that I don't own. And I've seen some scattered Hammer films, but I've never seen any of the Frankensteins. And I happen to have the first one, so I started at the beginning. This film is delightful. It is maybe my favorite Frankenstein movie. And all of that comes down to Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing is amazing in this movie. I would describe his performance as fiendish, which is not a thing I think I've ever said before. He is so delightfully evil, and he doesn't start that place, or in that place, but he also doesn't he's a science before everything else guy.
Okay.
And it just keeps escalating. And, like, a lot of times we play Dr. Frankenstein as morally ambiguous or tragic. This is not that. This is a completely evil Dr. Frankenstein by the time we get to the end. By the time the monster gets made. The 2 most evil things I think he does is, there's a point where he says his monster, he isn't called a monster, but his monster must have the brain of one of the smartest men on the planet. Like he wants like a really smart brain. And they're like, well, but how could you possibly know when like a smart person is going to die? He invites one of the smartest scientists on the planet to his home, and then takes him upstairs and like, oh, let me show you this thing, and then just pushes him off the stairs to his death. And then he has a maid, and that he's got like a little fling with, and then his cousin shows up, who he's betrothed to, like for their entire life, like they were betrothed.
Yeah.
His cousin shows up, and it's like, oh, we're betrothed or whatever. And his maid's like, who is this woman that you know says you're going to marry her? You told me that we were going to get married, and I have your child, or I'm pregnant with your kid. And he was like, look, first of all, you could go to any random person in this village and say that they had your kid, and there's a good chance that that it's their kid. Second of all, you're not going to tell me what to do. And he just throws her in with the monster, and the monster murders her. I should know the monster is played by he's played by Christopher Lee. Because Christopher Lee plays all of them. He does Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy. I think there's another one. He might play the Wolfman. I don't remember. He's all of them. He's only the monster in this one. He doesn't keep going like he does with Dracula.
Christopher Lee as monsters.
Yeah. And he's fine. Like he's fine. I've heard people complain about what he looks like. I think he looks all right. They were hampered by the fact that they were very legally they could not make him look like the Universal monster.
Oh sure.
And that's so definitively where it's like
it's going to look generic no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Or we will look like something that's unrecognizable.
Yeah. So he's just kind of like a guy with stitches on his face stuff. Like he doesn't look bad, but he doesn't look amazing. But the villain.
So is the main thing you can't do bolts? You
can't do bolts. You can't do flat top.
Okay. Is there a skin color issue, or is it black and white?
No, this is color. He's just pale because he's dead bodies.
Sure.
He's not green. But I don't think he's technically green in the Universal movies either. We just did that on the posters, but I might be wrong.
Sure.
Christian Black Lagoon's like that. Like he's painted green, but like canonically he's like an orange-ish.
Oh, I didn't know.
Or it's the other way. I forget which. But no, it's just this is a delightful, super fun, just kind of creepy. It's everything I want a Frankenstein movie to be. It's really, really fun. I'm more interested in seeing all of the Hammer Frankenstein stuff. I'm always kind of touch and go with Frankenstein, especially with, like, sequels, where I'm like, so he's going to make another thing. Or, like, you know, like...
Sure, yeah.
But Cushing's so good, and...
how many stories can you possibly... That's obviously a real standalone story.
Yeah, yeah.
After you've done The Bride, you know.
But he's so good, and then... And this is all told in flashback. Dr. Frankenstein is telling the story. He's in the insane asylum, and he's telling the story. I sat through the entire credits. Usually I don't sit through credits. I just, like, the DVD's over, like,
yeah.
I can watch something else. I sat through the entire credits because the final image of this film, and I had to see what happened, is after he tells his story, they're like, yeah, it's probably not true. And, like throughout the movie, they've slowly kind of set up this thing where, like, there is no actual evidence. And the only people that know what he did are people that hate him. So no one will the people that know what he did and what happened will not confirm what he said.
Okay.
So they're like, well, he's criminally insane. So they take him out to a guillotine. Credits. The guillotine goes up. And then the credits just keep going. I'm like waiting to see if it falls. It does not fall, which is disappointing. But I was so interested to see if that guillotine
cool, though,
fell.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I don't want to say, like, Horror of Dracula is good. It's not their best movie in the Dracula series. This is hard to top. Like, this is a really good first Frankenstein movie. I highly recommend this. Peter Cushing is kind of slowly becoming, like, one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
He's just, like, he's kind of the definitive Van Helsing, but he's also kind of the definitive Dr. Frankenstein.
Weirdly a little unsung because people seem to just know him for Star Wars, and it was kind of a minor role in Star Wars. It's weird. Like he's been a leading man in things.
Yep. Yeah, he is the lead of this film. Like, his name's in the title. No, he's wonderful. Wonderful.
He's Doctor Who's not great, but I kind of like him in that role.
I never watched those.
I just saw the Dalek one. I haven't seen the other one. Or were they both Dalek ones? I forget. But I saw one, not the other.
Interesting. Yeah, I've not watched them. No, he's great. I'm just falling in love with the man. I want to go seek out, like, his other works. Like, I'll definitely go through all the Frankensteins, and those are the big things I know him for. He's also the hero in The Mummy.
Okay.
And boy, does that guy just have like a crappy life. There's a thing that I read where he talks about how the mothers on the street where he lived were afraid of him and told the kids to stay away from him. He's like, I don't even understand. Like, I either play the monster fighter or the guy that makes the monsters. I'm not even the monsters. Now, to be fair,
he's an intimidating looking guy.
Too. He is. Also, apparently, the nice. He would bathe himself, not bathe, but like he would splash himself with lavender water, and there was something he would eat, like, so he was just always pleasant to other people on set and things like that.
Oh wow.
To be fair, if I was a mom and I saw the scene where he talks to the maid and then throws her into the monster, I might be a little wary too. But no, really good. I was surprised. Like, I assumed I'd like it. I was surprised at, like, how taken in I was. Like, oh, this is great.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch more Frankenstein.
The next thing we're going to talk about is a movie that was requested by Magpie on Patreon, and he has been trying to get me to watch this movie forever, and finally got to it. Thanks a lot for suggesting this. Again, Magpie, I'm sorry it took so long. So Magpie is from Australia, and this is a Australian movie based on an Australian teen book series called Tomorrow When the War Began. This is now a TV show. I don't know if it's still around. I don't know if it got canceled. I think he mentioned it. Maybe it's been a couple of years already when it came out. I did not look that up. I don't know if it's still around. I don't think that show is a continuation of this. I think it started over.
Readapts.
Yeah, I think it readapts it. But anyway, so this is, like I said, based on a young adult book series, which he also has sent me in the mail, and I have not read that book. But it's about a group of teenagers that all go away from the weekend, and when they come back, their town has been taken over by some nondescript faction of an Asian country, and I think an Asian country.
Yeah, because all the soldiers we see are Asian.
And they finally come right out and say who it is, or do they stay kind of vague about it?
I think they stay vague about it. And they have that line where it's like, well, what does it matter what flag they fly?
Sure, yeah.
But we do know that they're Asian.
Which is maybe smart.
Except that I want to know what the bad guys are doing and why
they're occupying. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing is, one of the things that's kind of funny about this is, and this is just in title with this first movie because, of course, it ends in such a way where it's like, well, yes, of course, this is a series; it should keep going. And I kind of wish the movie could get a little bit more done. Although there's plenty of interesting things with some of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to the end of the movie, and by the way, I don't know if this is available in America in
This is a
our
different region
format.
DVD.
This is a different region DVD. I had to watch it with a player that would play it on my computer. I couldn't just put this in a DVD player. So I don't know how readily available this is going to be for folks in America, but we'll just kind of tell you about it. But when I got to the end of the movie, I was like, oh yes, of course, this should keep going, and it might be a thing where some of that is easier to deal with and easier to swallow as you move along.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest.
Sorry, what I was going to say, because the title that's what I was going to say. The title seems kind of funny, because it's like when the war began, but it's more like when the occupation began.
Yeah. And there's some weird stuff.
They the kids do kind of go to war by the end.
Yeah. But it's weird because they call the war before they go to war. War is used
but they
weirdly.
are... Okay, but to be fair, there is that scene where there's a plane flying over and they're like, it's one of ours.
That's true.
So,
that's true. I don't know how they know that, but yeah, that's true. That scene does exist.
So yeah, I wondered about that too, because I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
But it's certainly possible. These are very educated, and maybe on Australia they just have a better sense of their own military, because we don't know that.
But my biggest issue with this movie, well, one of them is an actual issue, one of them's not fair. But my biggest legitimate issue with this movie is the
one that's not fair is the one I shared, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this occupying force shows up, and I don't want to say it's like and what about that kind of a thing, but like, it feels more like a natural disaster movie in places. Like, it's just a faceless, like organization. And I'm like, yeah, but who are they? What do they want? Like, can you interact with any of them? Like, I want a sense of what you're fighting.
What it's, and I want to think that you probably would get more of that if it moved along. What I like about that is that it's from these kids' perspective who wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And we never get out of their head. I like that we never have a scene where we cut to the bad guys.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is completely from their perspective, and from where they're standing, it would feel more like a natural disaster, and slowly it becomes more real to them, and they start having to, ask the big questions and deal with the big, moral issues of this, where some of them have to actually kill. And by the way, the lead girl in this is awesome.
She's phenomenal. She needs to be more. All of the kids are good. Even boyfriend guy who gets nothing to do, but like he's fine.
And we should say this is like a decade old.
Yeah. She's fantastic in this. She carries off some emotional weight that I'm just.
She's got a couple of powerful speeches. I think the script is more or less pretty good.
Yep. The biggest issue I have with the script, character wise, is there's a guy who's legitimately really funny. Like, just a borderline, like, anarchist because it's funny.
And he'll do anything. He's not scared of anything.
And then the second the occupying force gets there, he becomes a completely different character, and she's like, oh, you're changing. I'm like, no, he's not changing. He changed. He's just a different person.
And if we made it about that, it works. Yeah. I actually don't have a problem with that light switch, because I think that could happen.
No, absolutely. But the film treats it like it subtly did this.
Because it's maybe... In a world where he's comfortable, it's maybe easy for him to act that way and to just be a jerk to people and not be scared of anything. And then suddenly this happens and he shows his true colors. But you're right; they don't really play it that way, and so it's kind of
they act like this is changing him, not it's bringing out his real self.
Did you think the druggy kid came too late in the script?
And
was almost like was it? I wondered if it was almost like we need another. Comic relief character, because we lost our comic relief because he's not being funny anymore. But then the speech she has when he's not taking things seriously and he almost dies and all that's worth it.
I don't think he comes too late. My issue is that he comes so late, and then there's a point where someone's like, it's just this guy. I'm like, we met him 2 minutes ago. I think that's actually the scene where she's pointing the gun at him, and the other kids come down and they're like, oh, it's just whatever his name is, like Tom, or it's just Tom, and I'm like, who's Tom? Why did you leave Tom on the watch?
We did watch this a couple weeks ago. We're not remembering character names and things. I think it does a really good job of gradually getting to the really heavy places.
Yeah.
I think early on, it has the cabin in the woods thing, right? Where like we send these kids out, they're on vacation, and instead of being a kill one at a time movie like a horror movie, it's a disaster thing, like you said.
Yeah.
But we kind of see them bond and have a good time together, and that maybe goes on a little too long, but I think it's supposed to be.
It's all character building and showing their relationships.
It's character building, and then when they come back, it makes it feel more real because it's the last thing they would ever expect to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, it going in probably if you went to this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be a little bit of like counting down the clock.
Yeah.
To
when does the war begin?
So let's talk about
tomorrow.
Let's talk about the unfair thing.
Okay, let's talk about the unfair thing. We were both waiting the entire movie for a twist where there was something supernatural or science fiction-y.
I'm not even saying it should have been that. It just kept feeling like that's where it would go.
It's because it felt so much like Animorphs.
Is it just because I'm an Animorphs fan?
It feels so much like Animorphs.
Yeah.
No. Part of it is because we didn't know anything about the occupying force. I kept waiting for the big reveal about the occupying force. They're like, what? It doesn't matter what flag they wear. I'm like, maybe that's because it's a flag from another world. Well, and we wouldn't know what it was.
And you even had a place where you're like, we never see their faces. I'm like, well, we did see their faces.
Yeah, we did see the one die, and I'd forgotten about
that. And also we were in a camp.
Yeah.
And we saw the soldiers in the camp.
Yeah.
But
no, I just kept waiting for the twist where it was aliens.
And I don't think what led me to it is an unfair criticism. I think the premise is treated as too novel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the character work carries it to where it doesn't have to feel like a teen thing, if that makes any sense at all, The
relationship stuff feels more teeny.
Okay, that's true.
Not the together relationship, the romantic relationship.
I wondered when we stopped everything and the leader girl who's going through some really heavy stuff. Obviously it goes without saying that this is a coming of age story, but she has to. She's very much Jake from Animorphs, right? She has to face her dark side very quickly and figure out how to let herself do what is necessary for them to survive, and it's bad stuff that you have to do, and you're with her every step of the way. She's not turning bad or anything. It's just self-defense. You're going to have to kill these people.
She's getting way harder.
Yeah, and she makes the decisions for the group that they can't make, right? And then we have a scene with her and another girl in the group where they're on a stakeout or something, and they're talking about this other girl's love life, and
it gets them caught.
I can see it and I can't see it. I'm kind of two minds about it, because on the one hand I get that that she's trying to hold on to a piece of herself and she doesn't want to lose herself to this war she has to fight, but on the other hand, it was too soon after that big speech she had to the drug guy, I think.
Well, it's like that scene that I don't think plays at all in the finale of Buffy when Buffy, Willow, and Xander walk off, and it's this like, they're the same characters you've always loved, and like Giles watched them and was like, really, you're just gonna talk about like what your plans are for the weekend? And I'm like, I don't buy that they would be talking about that right now. They're staging a war.
Well, and
in both situations.
It might be a thing that you feel like you have to do to try to keep your sanity.
I just don't buy where they did it and when.
I didn't either.
It was in the middle of a mission, and it's one of those things where compromised.
I think I see what they're doing, and I'm trying to explain why it didn't play, but it didn't play.
Mm. Yeah.
Also, it's not a big budget thing. A lot of the cinematography is pretty good.
Yeah.
The chases don't work. The car chases don't work.
Every time a car's moving, it looks like it's a 90s TV show, where they've sped up the footage, and like, it's just, something about it looks artificial.
And I'm not even going to say that none of the action works, it's just the car chases.
It's just every time a car is moving, it just, all of a sudden it looks like it was made 2 decades earlier, and I don't know what that is. The rest of the movie looks great, for the most part. It jumps back and forth. I think we're like, sometimes it looks like a TV show. Yeah. Not in a bad way, but sometimes it looks like a TV show, and then sometimes it looks like a legitimate major motion picture.
I think it would look weird on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall, I was kind of impressed with this, actually. I didn't know what
it's a lot better than I thought it would be.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into with it.
A lot of that's by performances.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
It's a lot better than I thought it would be.
There's some elevating the material with some of those performances.
Yeah. I don't have any strong desire to continue. Like, if there were more movies, I wouldn't watch more. Like, no, I was impressed by what it was, but I'm not super invested.
I feel bad about it. I had kind of that's it?
Yeah.
kind of reaction to it. But
the acting is way better than I ever expected it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good if you can find it, like, especially if you like teen drama stuff. Like, this is in a league with some of the best of the teen drama stuff.
I think so too. Would I have liked this better if I was 13, 14?
I think I absolutely would. I think back on things that were like teen drama that I liked when I was a teenager that, like, looking back, are not good at all.
Well, I appreciate how far the envelope they push things
with the violence and what they're able to, not like gore violence, but like thematic violence, like what they're willing to let their characters do, given that they're children.
Yeah, and the consequences, and it's not gratuitous at all. But they're not holding your hand, and they're not watering it down. And I think it's a thing that would potentially speak to kids, especially when it comes out. But
Red Dawn exists.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that thought too. Like I said, it treats it like it's a little too novel, where I'm like, no, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And it's fine to repackage things and do it your own way, but I kind of felt like I'd seen it before.
Yeah. But yeah, at the very least, it's worth seeing for some of the performances.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. Or if you like teen drama things.
Next thing we should talk about is let's go ahead and go on to David Crabtree's pick for this time, which was Flash Gordon, which is a thing that you know in and out already, so you can help me talk about it some, I'm sure.
I've seen it many times.
I had never watched this, and you
texted me about like 3 minutes in, and you were like, I didn't know Semper wrote this.
Yeah, John Semper. John Semper? Not that I'm saying that. No.
It's not Semper.
See, as soon as you...
Semper is Spider-Man 90s cartoon.
Yeah, so
I messed it up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Now you've thrown me. Simple.
Yes.
Simple from Batman 66.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Semple.
Lorenzo Semple. Thank you very much. He wrote a lot of those episodes. But anyway, so... I say I've never seen this. I take that back. I think I caught it on TV when I was a kid, and I either watched bits and pieces of it, or I just don't remember that much. I kept waiting for the fight on the gimbal. On the big wheel at the end. That I remembered. I kept waiting for that to happen. So I knew that was there. I enjoyed this a lot.
I wasn't sure how you feel about it.
Yeah. And I mean, like there's, you know, I've got issues with it. It's not the best thing ever.
No.
But it's I wish that Flash Gordon himself had more to do and more character development. Certainly, but it's a really good throwback. I mean, obviously it's kind of the best thing I can say about it. I like the way I like that it's a modern serial, where like it gets the serial thing and it brings those sensibilities in, and sometimes it's very much that soundtrack and it's shot very much that way, but it's also got a little bit of an edge to it, and it's very often not about anything like a lot of those were, where it's just crazy stuff in space, and it's unlikely hero from Earth goes to a space station,
has an adventure,
and takes down the bad guy. But then there's, like 60s Batman had, and this is one of the only things I can compare it to 60s Batman for, because they're very different things.
They're both camp.
But but both of them have this kind of undercurrent of satire. But this has a darker undercurrent of satire. So the main thing it's about is fascism, and it's doing a
Nazis.
Obvious Nazi parallel, and not that it's even pretending like it's thinly veiled. Like, there's a scene where Ming, the bad guy, is looking at footage of Hitler and saying that guy had the right idea. I think it was Ming that says that.
I think so.
One of the bad guys says that, and I really like.
I mean, you remember for the other guy, he's got like a Dr. Doom face.
I like how over the top all that is, but there are a couple of places where it's kind of biting. And like, you're preaching to the choir. It's not like anybody doesn't agree with you, but at the same time, there's some stuff about human cruelty throughout history and stuff that I latched on to.
Wasn't sure about those Nazis. Then I saw Flash Gordon. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Thinking that was a bad idea.
I don't think that guy did have it right.
It makes a lot of sense that Lorenzo Semple was brought in for this, because, and I imagine that's probably partly why David Crabtree wanted me to watch it, because he knows how big of a 60s Batman fan I am. But I got the sense that that part of the reason he wanted me to watch this was because the sensibilities, the sensibilities are similar in that they're both going back to the adventure serial, but they're doing different things with it. So 60s Batman is a straight up parody of that. This is a faithful update. It's like if we had kept making those, this is what they would look like.
It's interesting because I know Semple kind of regrets making this movie.
Really?
He said he was told to make it funny, and he thinks that was a mistake.
That's interesting. It might have been better if it was a little bit more serious.
His whole thing was like, yeah, if you go back and look at the serials, like, they're a little silly, but like they don't think they are. And
the movie kind of does a little bit.
He felt like the movie knew too much, and so he kind of regrets that.
That's interesting. Weirdly, though, I think he's just so good at this kind of thing that he made it work, even if it's not what he wanted to do with it, because it seemed very tonally consistent. I liked how heightened it all was. If Earth was totally normal Earth, but we went to this crazy place, it doesn't work at all. And it's weird because that's one of the complaints. So, stuff I think works about this, some of it I'm having a hard time articulating why I think it's working, right? Like, that's a complaint I think I probably lobbed at, and I'm going to compare these two things a lot, that I probably lobbed at Masters of the Universe, where it's like, the villains, I forget what I said exactly in that rewind, but you know, the bad guys come from space, but they come to an Earth with Earth people that don't really make a lot of sense. But there's kind of there's a heightened internal logic throughout this whole movie. Like, I feel like they're all archetypes and they're all two-dimensional, but they all stay in character, except for like 3 or 4 weird light switch moments where a character, and this is one of my biggest complaints about it, I think I want to say he's doing it, and some of it's acting, I want to say they're doing it this way because that's maybe what a serial would do, but I could be giving it too much credit, so I'm not sure. This is a place where I'm not sure if this is a fair criticism or not, and that means that the movie is not doing a good enough job of communicating its intentions, so it is a problem, because I don't know. But you have things like, you have the prince guy, who...
Baron.
Baron, who has his own kingdom, and he fights Flash Gordon to the death, and a lot of Flashes in the world we live in.
And the Flash,
right? Yep.
It's also a separate Mongo.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so you have I forget what point I was making. You have that guy,
Baron,
thank you, who is fighting Flash Gordon, and he doesn't think he can trust him, and he doesn't think that there's any going up against Ming. And then the moment he decides that they have a chance, he suddenly changes his tune entirely, but nothing about his mannerisms or the way he's acting or anything is just, yes, of course, Flash Gordon, now I'll follow you. And then
he doesn't sound like that he's British.
And that happens like with 3 or 4 different characters.
The hot guy.
Yes. Where he just turns on a dime, and I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or if that's just the kind of thing I'm watching. And that's maybe a credit to it where the characters have too much dimensions, so I'm not buying it. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I like the production values on this movie a lot. I think it looks really good. It's 1980... 82, what is it?
It's just after Star Wars, I think it's 80.
It's 80, yeah. One of the things I said to you after I watched it was I appreciate that it doesn't look too much like Star Wars and that it is not taking its cues too much. So you suggested, well, it had to have been made because of Star Wars, and yeah, sure, but it doesn't look like it's looking at that at all. No.
It sounds like they were just like, well, we've got this license, just go make it, whatever.
And I would say if you ever watched the Masters of the Universe movie, the He-Man movie, and you didn't like it, this is what that should have been. Mostly because it's all in space.
Yeah.
It's almost all in space.
And it can't be much, it can't have cost much more.
I wouldn't think so. But it just seemed like the people making it wanted to be there more. And so it's interesting you say Semple didn't like what they were doing, because it feels pretty confident. You know, it feels like a movie that a lot of people came together and wanted to make. And
it's a sequel.
It's not scared of going weird. It's not scared of its material at all. You know, you've got and stuff that they're taking a risk at even trying to realize, like the right-hand henchman guy of Ming, who I think dies too quick. And also, it's hilarious because he dies on a spike, and you have your gladiators that are there, Flash Gordon and
Baron.
I remembered it this time, but I just thought it would be funny to make you say it. Where
there's also Timothy Dalton who's my favorite James Bond.
Oh, that's Dalton. I didn't realize that. So I haven't seen enough Dalton. I should have known that. They're fighting on the wheel thing. And you've got the hot guy who ends up being really cool, but he's kind of having fun torturing them at first, where he's just pressing buttons and making things happen on the wheel. These spikes keep coming up on the wheel that they're fighting on top of, and like neither of them are able to fully get away from each other's blows. Like, they draw blood and stuff when they have the whips and things. I also like that they're not afraid of that kind of violence. And because I don't think those serials were either.
Well,
I think some of those went to
and Ming's daughter.
Am I wrong?
Whipped.
Yeah. Although that was distracting because the makeup is already there, and then they keep whipping her, and then it just is the same.
That's fair.
But it does look gruesome. So there's that. I'm not saying it's great because it's grotesque. I'm saying that it feels authentic. It feels like, you know, what that stuff should look like. And anyway, so they're on this wheel, and the hot guy is pressing buttons, and you've got all these spikes coming out, and even though they take blows from each other, they never are at any risk of being hit by these spikes, and then the right-hand henchman guy gets thrown down on one and gets impaled and dies immediately. He's got, and I brought him up because this is one of the things that I thought was really risky, and it works, and I understand every line of dialogue, and I'm sure it's dubbed over, but he's got, I don't know, surely, right? Because he's got this...
Yeah, otherwise it would sound like Roger Corman Fantastic Four.
That's what I was thinking, Dr. Doom. He's got this metal face and these lips that are just... these metal lips that look like they're probably just spirit gum to his regular lips.
Together,
and they just cling together when he's talking. And but it's great that they went that far and did that kind of crazy stuff. Like I said, the hot people look really cool.
Except their wings don't flap.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, it's 1980, so like you can tell when stuff is green screen when people are flying.
It does not look like Wrath of Khan or Star Wars or anything like that.
No, but I mean, I've seen way worse.
Yes,
and
from the same period.
Just the imagination makes up for a lot of that.
Yeah,
I think.
I've always been bothered by the fact that we have this huge build up to raiding Ming's palace. We go in.
I wish we'd watch it together.
And Ming just dies. Because his costume was too elaborate and they couldn't have a sword fight. Flash gets a really elaborate sword that he's got a sword fight with, and then Ming just dies.
Which is really funny because that is a thing it has in common with Masters of the Universe. Almost the exact same thing happens in that movie.
Yep.
Overall, I really enjoyed it, though. I'm glad I watched it. There was that question of whether or not it counts as a superhero movie, whether or not I'll ever have to review it on Superhero Rewind. I think that opens the floodgates to too many other kinds of things that I wouldn't want to classify as superhero, but I think it would be a fun thing to write about.
You could probably cover it again if you did other, like, proto-superhero.
Probably so. Yeah, the problem is I did Masters of the Universe, and that makes me think I should do it, because I don't know why that would... why this counts less than that. But like I said, my main complaint is that Flash Gordon just doesn't get enough, character progression, and he doesn't get to do very much. And I guess, he's that does no wrong, immediately knows what to do in a situation kind of hero. So, like, maybe it's kind of okay, but it's weird to have even in a thing like this, I think it's kind of weird to have a character that gets thrust into this world and doesn't know that's going to happen and isn't already a superhero, and there's nothing begrudging about it, and he doesn't have to figure anything out. He's just like, well, I guess I'm doing this now.
I'm still playing football. It's space football, but it's football.
No, that was fun. So yeah, that is what I have to say about Flash Gordon. We've got one more thing to talk about.
Yes, we do.
We always save Neil for last. I want to say we often save Neil. So Neil McCalmont once again gave us a movie to watch to make me go like this, and it's weird because as we started, really the first hour, I did not know how this was going to be one of those movies. Because Neil was like, okay, there's some other kinds of things I can give you guys, but I'm going to do one more. Remind me some of the other things that Neil has made us, the other couple things Neil has made us watch. 1992, it blew my mind with the Gore Fest.
Amazing puppetry.
I couldn't look at it.
And then the other one, Shogun Assassin.
And Shogun Assassin, yeah. Which I guess was not a real squirmy thing for me.
No, it was just hyper-violent.
It's just hyper-violent, yeah. So anyway, but he was like, I'm going to give you guys one more of those. And this was clearly a horror thing, and really atmospheric horror, and I was like, I don't know what it is. And then it gets wild.
The film is Phenomena, which is directed by Dario Argento.
I'm sorry if I didn't say the name of the film.
It's a major. He's a major contributor to the French New Wave of horror.
1985. I was a year old.
I've never seen anything by him. I was a little let down. I was under the impression his films were more stylized and more dreamlike. Like it's okay that things don't make sense as movies because like it's all like it's not the real world.
About the imagery and
yeah, this is too grounded for me to give it that pass.
Yeah, except for when it decides it's not.
Well, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's real inconsistent, and I think probably on purpose. And it's weird.
This girl just has bug powers.
Yeah, I mean, I think all we can do.
Do you want me to try
at the beginning is to just give a brief synopsis of at least the premise. If we can,
I don't know what that is.
Out.
I can't give you the premise.
Yeah, I don't totally know.
Girl
we
with bug powers.
Things that are happening, and then what the experience watching it was like. Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly.
I want to know if Neil loves this movie or if it's just a weird thing he watched once and he wants us to.
It does have the single greatest ending of any film I've ever seen. It does have that going for it. It does have that going for it.
It was bizarre. I don't know where that came from. How much of this should we spoil? Should we come out?
All of it. We should spoil all of it. Like if we're gonna talk about, we're gonna have fun.
The knife. I don't know where the knife wielding monkey came from. Okay?
Well, let's get to the knife. You have to build to the knife wielding monkey.
Well, you said it was the best ending ever, and then
yeah, it is. I'm gonna give a
I don't know where it came from.
What happens in the film?
More people are gonna stick with this because I said knife wielding monkey.
Sure. Okay. So. At the beginning of the film, someone is murdered. A young woman is murdered in a house, which, by the way, we'll get back to that. I don't know what's important about that house.
Yeah.
This girl's abandoned this girl's murdered in this abandoned house, and we cut to...
Because that's not the place where the villain chick is, right?
Nope, not her house.
Okay, alright.
We cut to, what is it when you research bugs? I want to say anthropologist, but that's not right?
I can't think of it right away.
Okay, he's a bug guy.
Right.
He is the leading mind on bugs in the entire world, but also believes bugs are psychic. Psychically connected.
But they present it like that's just factual knowledge everyone has.
There's a couple of things like that where we're like, I don't think that's how that is.
He says,
you're real confident about this, but I'm not sure.
From a long distance, and if only humans could tap into that, we'd be telepathic.
Yeah, he thinks they're telepathic. It's pheromones and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not actual mind communication.
But he thinks it is.
So he's one of the leading brains in bug science, and he's important for later. So Jennifer Connelly is the daughter of a famous actor, which never pays off in any way that informs her character in the story.
We've ever seen her.
Yeah.
She's got to be, what, 16, 17?
15, 16 at most,
movie.
yeah. So she's in this school in Switzerland, which is an all-girls boarding school. She wakes up in the middle of the night and sleepwalks.
Oh, yeah.
And some dudes pick her up, and I can't tell whether it's an attempted rape or if they're trying to help and she's just overreacting. I don't know what's happening.
It's all coming back to me now, but you're remembering way more of this moment than I am.
So then she gets away from these guys and runs into the bug guy, and they become best friends immediately. And then she goes back to the boarding school.
Did you mention the thing where she always liked bugs?
Oh yes, she always likes bugs. She says bugs don't hurt her and that they listen to her.
Yeah.
So
we immediately get the sense that she's got some sort of bug superpowers.
Something with bugs.
She's like the bug kid from Smallville.
Yeah. So
only less creepy.
And she's Jennifer Connelly.
Everything else around her is creepy, but she's not.
So she comes back. She tells her roommate, like, "Hey, I'm sleepwalking, whatever." And then, oh no, she gets tested, and they say, you were sleepwalking. That means you might have schizophrenia. You might have an altered personality.
That's the other thing that they just treat like a thing everyone... Look, my mom used to sleepwalk. That doesn't mean she's schizophrenic. And they you have a much larger chance. You're much more likely to be schizophrenic, and they just start judging her, and you are probably a crazy person if you're sleepwalking.
And that it could be your ultimate personality coming out. Later, we are informed that sleepwalking is not her ultimate personality coming out. Controlling bugs is her ultimate personality coming out. And I don't know what that means.
No, because we never see that manifest.
She never plays it differently. Like, it's not like when she's controlling bugs, she's a different person. Anyways,
no, I don't know what that means
either. So her roommate is the worst roommate ever, because she tells her roommate, she's like, look, it's really important if I start sleepwalking, like
you ever seen a movie with a protagonist who might be telepathic and might be schizophrenic? Never know.
That sounds like what Legion is, right?
Yeah, sure. No, we know things in that show.
So her roommate just leaves through the front door, not even the window like you would expect. Someone's sitting out. I'm also unclear on how locked down this boarding school is, because it seems like people can come and go as they
it's usually easy. Well, and remember that she. Sorry, I'm gonna interject things to prove that I watched this movie because I could not do what you're doing right now. but there's the whole thing where I don't know how you do that, because we watch so many things. I can't do that in the moment. But you forgot the thing about how the Jennifer Connelly asked the roommate to stop her if she's sleepwalking. And then that's why she leaves. And then she leaves.
Because she's the worst roommate ever. So she leaves.
She's the worst roommate ever.
And she's making out with this boy who's like a military boy, probably like ROTC or something. And then they make out for 6 seconds, and he's like, "Well, I gotta go." And nothing indicates that time has passed. Like, she goes to him, they make out for 6 seconds. He's like, "I gotta go. I'm shipping out tomorrow." And then she's like, that kind of thing she's like, "You suck."
Real melodramatic.
You suck, Bane. And then she gets murdered. And then Jennifer Connelly starts sleepwalking, and she wakes up, and a bug tells her, "Come this way." Doesn't speak, but the bug's clearly "Hey, come this way." Yeah. And she finds the girl's robe. She finds something in the bushes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. With just the best.
Oh yes,
it's amazing.
Randomly,
it's the best. And we already had some weird rockin' stuff at the beginning of the movie, and they at least give you that up front. Yeah, that it's gonna go there. But just out of nowhere, every now and again, it's just like,
it's like a space ghost.
This weird rock opera thing, and but more literal than you're imagining, where it's rock with opera singing in it.
Yeah,
and we seem to do it in movies where we're afraid it's going to be boring for the audience.
Yeah, and anytime it's dialogue, it's here's some Iron Maiden, and then here's this thing.
It's more anytime because there are long drawn out scenes where someone is just walking around with no music or anything. Where I'm starting to nod off. This movie gets really boring in places.
Sure.
I'm not saying overall it is, but I wanted to fast forward in some places.
Yeah.
And I get that it's 1980 and we're coming out of the 70s, but
it's not 85.
Oh no, it is 1985. 1980 was earlier, and that was when we were talking about
past Halloween
Flash Gordon, and that movie does not have this problem at all. But yeah, that's true, and that movie is not boring at all. But anyway, so but no, I think they're doing it any place where we hold a shot for any amount of time.
Yeah.
If we're not cutting, that's when the rock opera happens.
Yep. It's delightful. So. Also, earlier when she went and talked to the doctor and became friends, we found out the doctor has a helper monkey because he's crippled. He's in a wheelchair.
It really sounds like we're just making up a movie right now.
And he has a helper monkey. So
that will be important later from the aforementioned final.
Then she goes to the she goes back to the bug scientist. And he's like, you're one of the 2 greatest detectives in the world, and this bug is the other greatest detective in the world, and you're going to solve this murder. And she's like, okay, so they go to the abandoned house where everyone keeps dying, but doesn't, and I don't know how that house factors in. And they don't really find anything. And then she leaves.
No, we couldn't figure out if girls were drawn to that house or why they were there.
Yeah, I don't know what. It just seems like that dude is just taking advantage of just oh, there's another one, another girl just wandering around.
They never have a motivation for being there. They're just there.
And I thought there was a psychic thing, but it's only with her. I don't know what's happening with that. So
I don't know if she was drawn.
We also thought that was going to be the end of the movie, and there was still more movie.
A lot more movie.
So then
you turned to me. You were like, "This is the end of the movie, right?" I was like, "Yeah, it should be," and then it kept going. But that's when it gets really
Should also
weird.
mention that the bug scientist is played by I said his name while we were watching it. Now I can't think of it. It's the original Blofeld. He's also in Halloween.
Oh, okay.
He's Dr. Loomis in Halloween.
Does he have a helper monkey in Halloween? No, he doesn't.
No. He just thinks that a mentally ill person is pure evil and must be murdered. Dr. Loomis is the best doctor.
I wonder what he would say if he saw someone sleepwalking.
So. So,
You're schizophrenic. You must die now.
the bug scientist gets murdered. I assume by not the killer, but by the person but by the mom that's facilitating the murders. But so, a bug scientist gets murdered with this real elaborate like pole thing, right? Like it's a real elaborate murder device.
Yeah.
Like it's a really specific.
They keep doing a close-up on it
together.
where, yeah, it's so long. There's so much going on with it.
Carried around.
You don't put it together until you're about to stab someone with it.
And so he gets murdered, and his monkey's like, "Oh no, my master!" And then he flees. The monkey just flees. So then Jennifer Connelly's like, "You know what? This is too much. I'm going to call my dad's lawyer. I'm going to get a ticket home. I'm not staying here. I'm not getting murdered."
And the lawyer's name is Shapiro?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the defense lawyer from the OJ trial?
Maybe he already had a bad reputation. I don't know.
It's Shapiro.
Because it's real specific because he's also an actor, remember? Her dad's an actor.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Sure.
He was famous before that case.
I don't think Shapiro was an actor, though. I didn't look anything like that guy, and yeah.
But so, she tries to get a ticket home, and this woman shows up, and she's like, "Hey, your dad's lawyer called me. You're going to come stay with me tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to ship you off." Note, as far as I'm aware, all of that is true. Her dad's lawyer did in fact contact this woman and tell her to come get Jennifer Connelly and take her back to her home for the night and then ship her off in the morning. All of that is true. It's also a huge contrivance. So then...
Yeah, why did he call her specifically?
I don't know.
Okay.
So...
Like, who is she?
I missed it.
I mean, she's the bad guy, but who is she?
So,
okay.
so she takes Jennifer Connelly home to her castle.
And she's immediately the scariest woman ever.
Like, the second the door shuts, she's just real creepy, real, controlling and whatnot.
Yeah. Real strict.
And so, like, things are like... You're like
everything Jennifer Connelly does is wrong.
Yeah, you're like, this is kind of weird. But you don't even know yet. Because then we cut to a park. And a monkey is just wandering around, and he goes to what I believe is a recycling bin. He picks out a carton of orange juice and drinks the apple juice. He drinks a carton of apple juice, puts it back, and he's like, "Oh, hey, a switchblade. I'm going to take that." And I thought, watching the film, I was like, okay, so this is...
Okay, may I make a confession?
Yeah.
This is the part where I nodded off. I don't know about this part.
Oh! The monkey finds a switchblade.
We were watching this late at night, and there are some bits of this movie that are really boring.
I didn't know you nodded off.
I did my best.
Okay,
I nodded off.
Okay, the monkey finds a switchblade in what I believe is just a recycling container in a park.
I feel really bad about it.
And I thought that it was going to be like evidence. Like he was finding the murder weapon.
Some evidence.
Like he found the murder weapon. No, he just finds a switchblade like a comb, like a switchblade that somebody just threw away in the recycling bin, where monkeys and children can get it. And then we just don't cut back to the monkey, and we go back to Jennifer Connelly, and we find out that the lady's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Also, there's a police officer who we introduced in like the 5th act of the movie, and we're like, oh, and by the way, this is the police officer who's following these murders. And so the police officer...
It does feel like a mini-series before it feels like a movie.
So Jennifer Connelly is like locked in a room, and like there's something up, right? And the lady also immediately brings Jennifer Connelly into her home and is like, by the way, my son's crazy. Don't go near my son. He's crazy. I do the best I can because I'm a good mom, but he's crazy. Jennifer Connelly's like, okay, that's weird.
And as soon as we saw the makeup on that kid, I was like, and this is a movie that Neil picked.
Yeah. So Jennifer Connelly's like locked up in a room or something, and the police officer shows up, and he's like, I'm a police officer. I want to follow up. So you moved here 8 months ago when all these murders started, huh? And so like he comes in, and then you just hear like, ah! And Jennifer Connelly goes through like an air vent or something. She finds like a clever way out. It's the thing on the door. It opens and she can like crawl through it and she tries to get the phone.
Oh yeah.
And then it goes through the hole and then she goes into this hole, right?
Oh, and then we had that question about like we thought you pulled the phone off the hook.
Yeah, she was trying to get the phone because she was gonna try and So she goes down into this hole and she's gonna try to.
I don't know if anyone's following.
She's gonna try and answer the phone to call her dad. She starts dialing, and then there's a hand that gets her, and she's like, ah! And it's the police detective who looks like she just took like an axe to him. Like he's bloody all over. I'm like, hey, you had like 2 minutes. Like, what did you do to him? And then there's like this pit of like all these bodies, and like it looks like.
I thought he had been there longer. That's
no,
who that
he
was?
just showed up. Yeah, that's the guy that just showed up. He says, "I'm Inspector. What's his name?"
I missed that.
So then we discover that this woman's son is like a malformed like baby, maybe man. I'm not sure. I thought he was a kid, but he could be
I think
like
he's
a.
supposed to be a kid though, because like when they shoot him from the back, they kind of make it.
That's what I thought.
He's supposed to look like he's like 9 years old.
That's what I thought, but I'm not sure. So.
Oh, I've been trying to put my finger on what the prosthetics look like, what his face looks like. You know what it looks like?
It's the guy from the Goonies, but scary.
Okay, I've actually never seen the Goonies.
Okay.
I just haven't. So sorry about that.
Sure.
The Last Starfighter.
Which person in Last Starfighter?
The creepy alien thing in the trailer park.
I don't remember that. It's one since I saw that movie.
That's one of the things that always stuck with me. Yeah,
okay.
There's a really horrifying alien face. That's I think it's what the robot guy looks like when he loses the face of the kid that he's pretending to be. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like that.
Okay. So we find out this woman comes in. She's like, "You don't understand. He just has his urges, and I'm a good mother. I can't deny him his urges, or something."
It's a good impression.
Yeah. So at some point we end up out on a boat. Like, it sounds like I'm skipping parts, but like really, like it's just like chasing around, and like she ends up out on this boat, and she's like, "I'm free." But then the deformed kid comes after her and like tries to get her, and then she kills the kid. And then she swims to shore, and then the mom comes out.
Well, we didn't mention just how horrifying like the torture chamber is.
Oh yes,
and
it's terrifying.
That are
There's
chained up and coming after her, and she gets in a thing of oatmeal.
Yeah,
and
then, bones. Oatmeal and bones. So she gets to shore, and this car pulls up, and it's her dad's lawyer, who was like, "I thought it was weird that you didn't return any of my phone calls." But what's weird is he seems to think. He did, in fact, talk to this woman, I believe.
He was in a league with her, and then he wasn't.
No, I think he did, in fact, talk to this woman, but she was supposed to just send her off. Okay. And she took her home instead of sending her off, and
Is it possible that the woman was impersonating someone else?
That's possible. How would she get all the information about Jennifer Connelly? I don't know.
I don't know, but I want to know who the lawyer thought she was.
Yeah.
Maybe we missed
So the lawyer shows up, and you're like, oh, okay, it's a happy ending. But then it's not, because his head gets knocked off. And then she's like, and then the mom's there, and she's like, "You didn't kill me, and how dare you kill my son? He may have been a murderous monster, but he was my son." And she starts. What's weird is she has this big like metal thing. I don't know what it is, but she just like took that guy's head off, but she's like pushing it on Jennifer Connelly like it's taking time. And then you remember that monkey earlier? He comes in with a switchblade and takes her out. He just kills her. He comes in from nowhere and just kills this woman, and then Jennifer Connelly's like, "Oh, monkey," and they hug. Credits.
And then the soundtrack over the credits.
That was my brief summary of the film.
And then the soundtrack was exactly
phenomenal.
What I was hoping for when we bring back the rock opera. And I couldn't turn the credits off, man. We just grooved to that until that was over. I mean, I think the synopsis is the review, right? Like,
I don't know what was happening.
I don't either.
No one acted like a human being.
Really entertained.
What I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the stuff that you were entertained, it gets really boring.
It gets really boring. It's one of those horror movies that kind of sits in this place where like there's a very.
He thinks it's atmospheric enough.
Well, I was going to
say that Sam Raimi thing, right? Where like we do the really crazy thing, and then we get atmospheric for a while, and then we do the really crazy thing.
It's one of those horror movies that sits on that very thin line.
But he's like good at
where
that.
I'm both enjoying it and making fun of it.
Sure.
Where like I'm like, this is crazy, ha 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 ha. And like
I'm not sure how serious it's meant to be taken.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously I'm trying to put myself in the place and time.
Yeah, I don't. This is post Friday the 13th. This is post Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe. I'm pretty sure Nightmare on Elm Street's earlier 80s.
But of course, you kept trying to give it passes because it's foreign, and I'm like, I don't know.
I do give it some passes because it's foreign.
We didn't talk about.
Oh, we didn't talk about the dubbing.
So let's preface this by saying we watched this on Amazon Prime, and I don't know if there's a version that doesn't do this and have what we're pretty sure must be a mistake, or if it was a mistake from the beginning and is how it was released.
No release has ever fixed it.
But
I don't know.
This is just the version that we saw on Amazon was doing this. There are several places where it's an Italian film dubbed in English, except for people that are already speaking English. So you can tell, like the doctor guy, he's always speaking English, and Jennifer Connelly is too. But there are other characters that are not, and they're dubbed. And so there are scenes where you have
the way we shoot spaghetti westerns.
Dub and not dub.
I imagine if you watch this over there, the American actors will be dubbed, and the normals, and the people that speak their language.
A bunch of places where suddenly everyone's speaking Italian, We don't have any subtitles. It doesn't seem on purpose. There are a couple places where I'm pretty sure it is on purpose because she's supposed to be in that country.
There's at least one.
And so somebody's speaking, or I'm saying, is it Italian? They're in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, I don't know what they speak. Is it Italian? Is it Swiss? Is Swiss a language?
When I was in Switzerland, I think they were still speaking German.
Okay.
Or a different dialect. I'm not sure.
The
honestly.
director's Italian, so I assume it's Italian.
Yeah. I'm ignorant. I've not spent enough time there. I made one trip to... I've been in Switzerland for 5 days of my life. I don't know.
It's more time than I spent.
Yeah, sure. But less than that, I guess, actually. We had an 11-day trip to Germany. I was there for a couple days. Anyways, but most of the time, it's clearly not on purpose. And it
just cuts to like a different dub. And we never missed
anything. And it got worse
anything.
toward the end.
Yeah.
Well, there were no, because there's the thing at the end where she's trying to get on the phone, and the mom runs in and starts yelling stuff. I don't know what she said.
No, I don't know what they.
You don't know if you missed anything.
Yeah,
How would you know?
I could have missed something really important.
How would you know?
Oh man, I totally forgot. So remember how we said that she likes bugs?
Yeah.
So the way that she gets away from the scary like baby man thing is that she summons all the bugs and it goes on him and he falls in the water. That's the payoff for the bug thing.
Yeah.
Bugs obey her. She's insanely powerful.
There were a couple.
She's a god among insects.
That's great. There were a couple places where I did.
I swear we watched this movie.
There were a couple places where I did turn my head a little bit, and it was kind of hard.
I had
watch.
one.
But it's not the normal likely thing. Although it's the same. Although I had it with that also.
Yeah. No, I had one where I was like, I can't look at that. And it's a thing that I have a hang up about, as opposed to like
a lot of it's just stuff with people's skin. Right.
Well, no. Mine is specifically the bug that goes underneath of the fingernail.
Oh, yeah.
I can't deal with that. Mm-hmm. Cannot deal with that. I'm glad I watched this film. I had a very good time. And I just relived it again, and it was also enjoyable. I don't know if I don't feel like I ever need to see it again.
Yeah, sure.
And the boring parts make it so that I wouldn't
something.
really want to show it to anyone else.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's hard for me. Look,
and I wouldn't have enjoyed it without another person, and I imagine, like, you watch a lot of weird stuff by yourself. I don't know if you would have made it through this without watching with another person.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or am I wrong about that?
I might have gotten bored.
I certainly would not have.
Yeah, I might have gotten bored.
But it's also not my kind of thing in the first place. Like, I already need a friend, not because I can't handle it, because I just don't already care.
It's unfortunate because I wanna be able to like blow people's mind with the ending of this movie, because it's the single greatest ending that any film has ever had. But I don't know if I can actually justify sitting someone down and making them watch through this whole movie to get to the ending.
Sure.
Maybe the right kind of people. People with similar sensibilities to me as far as this thing goes, maybe. But like, I wouldn't just sit somebody down like, oh my god, like wait for the ending of this movie.
Yeah, it's more like I would show them...
I swear, just wait.
I would show them excerpts from it.
Yeah.
Because that soundtrack, you gotta play people. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it.
So yeah, I enjoyed watching it. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
Except for the ending.
But thanks for showing us another off the beaten path thing we never would have found on our own.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it for us today on how we felt about. Next time, we will, I'm sure, cover some more requests, and also Deadpool 2 is next week. So that will be
Untitled
the next thing.
Deadpool sequel.
Untitled Deadpool sequel, which I wish they were running with. But anyway, thanks again for watching. We sure appreciate it. And we're going to move on now on the Omnibus. If you'd like to follow us along with a little bit of Primetime Crisis, it's going to be a really short one this time. I've only got a couple of TV shows to talk about. And then we've got a couple more movies to talk about, and a little bit more before we... short reviews before we get to news and stuff later on. So stay tuned. Lots more Omnibus coming your way. And in the meantime, we will see everybody again if you're just watching this video. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.